Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and this evening's topic is not going to be a controversial one, but it's going to be a true topic, and it's about men. So the topic of this video is men have too many sexual urges and they gossip way too much. Men have too many sexual urges and they gossip too much. Now, I want to bring this topic to the forefront because when it comes to men, particularly I see it with Hispanic men and black men. When we talk about subjects in hand, it's not about building anything. It's more or less about how many women we have slept with. Now, here's the problem with that. How many women you sleep with does not make you a man. Doesn't make you an alpha male. It doesn't make you a beta male. And what I see on YouTube, particularly in the black community, is individuals gossip way too much regarding alpha and beta males. The problem is black men don't know how to get along with one another. Now, I do see it in the Hispanic community when I'm out and about because I live in the Chicago area. Now, when it comes to white men and Asian men, they have their fair share of gossip, but I don't interact with their communities too much. But I will tell you this about the Asians. They're more or less about business. And that's why they have business. And if you look at the four nationalities of men or races of men, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic, and African American, you see that Hispanic and African American men are at the bottom. And you look at the communities that a number of them live in, they're full of violence, single mothers, a lot of bastard children, uneducated people, and welfare. And that's because in those two communities, you have a lot of irresponsible sex. And when it comes to sex, it seems to me, when it comes to men, it's on our mind more than building anything. Now, I've done a video series on why men in this day and age, a number of them, cannot be MGTOW or red pill. Because to be MGTOW or red pill, you have to go much further than just dealing with women. You have to deal with society and the system as a whole. And not just deal with it, you have to understand it. You have to be educated about it. And then you have to take the principles of red pill and MGTOW and utilize them. Because when it comes to men, the reason why we don't get to our potential in life is because we're busy talking about women all day. How fat this woman's butt is, how big her breast is. We, in essence, put women on a pedestal, and we don't even know it. A number of us go to their channels. We sub to their channels. We tell them how beautiful they are. And we're doing this to get their attention. And as men, when we don't focus on ourselves, we lose out in the long run. And I can tell you, when it comes to the black sector of YouTube, I see most videos, most of the men talk about the same issues every day. It's because they don't do enough reading. You see, being a man, you have to expand your knowledge, expand your horizons. And sex shouldn't be on our mind 24/7. Now, I know some of you out there are going to say you probably aren't getting any. That is the weakest or the lamest excuse I heard if you do come to my channel with the nonsense. It's just that I concentrate on making money, building a business, having a future. And I guarantee a number of you men out here aren't thinking about a retirement. Many of you don't even understand investment, finances, unless you're financing your way to getting some used up vagina. That's where your finances are going. But as a red pill man, there are a number of men out here who constantly gossip as well, just like women. I see it enough on some of the hangouts, and they talk about nothing. See, part of being a man is you got to be mature. And as men, we're going to disagree on certain topics because we're different people. But it doesn't mean that my opinion is greater than your opinion or your opinion is greater than mine. And I see a lot of it in the black community. And when it comes to men, our egos drive us in the wrong direction. You see, when it comes to we men, we got to get off the labels, alpha, the beta, because all we're doing is just envying each other. What we should be doing is reaching out to each other, being positive, giving each other our experiences of being a man. Now, many of us older men, we didn't have the knowledge that we do now. I mean, being married, having children, going through the divorce, going through the child support system. I tell you right now, many of the older guys like myself became red pill because the system is against us. We should be studying why the system is against us, and we should be voting with our feet when it comes to political elections. But when it comes to today's men, particularly on YouTube, you have a number of men who constantly talk about women and sex, but then they hide under the umbrella of red pill and MGTOW. But these guys really want women, but they're angry because they can't have women. First of all, to you young guys out there, I know you want to sow your oats. What you need to do is get yourself together and worry about women later on. I know every man wants to have sex. That's always going to be in our nature. But the problem with that is we put that above ourselves. Do you think women put themselves above us? Yes, they do. Or let me ask the question the opposite way. Do you think women in their right mind put men above themselves? Absolutely not. Why? Women are naturally selfish. But what women do, they utilize their sexuality to get men. They hypnotize men into giving them what they want. It's called manipulation. A number of men don't see that. And because we gossip so much about how bad women are, we got to turn around and look at ourselves. Now, I'm not a perfect man, and no other man is perfect. But when it comes to men, our lives should be focused on building ourselves up to where we are comfortable in our own skin. And there are a number of guys who are looking for validation from women. And sometimes when we constantly talk about each other, it's really a sign of envy and jealousy. Or it's a sign that we as an individual, our lives aren't going anywhere, so it makes us feel better by talking about one another. And to me, that's destructive behavior. But if you really want to be a true red pill man and a MGTOW man, you got to understand that sex is always going to be there. Your priorities should be number one. And when you make yourself number one, you'll have more money in your pocket. Too many of us are getting on social media looking for women. And then when we don't get the woman we want, we're upset. Well, some of us have to learn to grow up. And some of you guys out there, you need therapy. Got to be honest with yourselves. I mean, there are a number of YouTubers who are afraid to put their faces out there. Now, I don't have a big channel, but I put my face out there. And if somebody wants to criticize me for how I look, that's fine. But at least I'm not afraid to get behind this camera so you can see who I am. I have a blog talk radio show. You can hear my voice on my blog talk radio show. I live here in the real world. Right now I'm down here in Lafayette, Indiana, home of the Purdue Boilermakers. When I step out in the real world, I'm the same person in the real world as I am on camera. And when I go to work, I don't change. Because my focus is on what I need to do to continue to grow as a man. This is why the red pill road is very easy for me. I don't look for validation. My achievements come from what I do. And I enjoy what I do. And my mind is not on sex all day. I don't care how good a woman looks or how bad a woman looks. But what I do care about is building something for me so I can live a comfortable life. I don't argue with women. I don't argue with men. I don't get on too many Google Hangouts. I do make my fair share of videos. But at the end of the day, as a red pill man, I strive to be the best man that I can be. And too many of us, as men, we've allowed the world to beat us down. And we as men need to listen to each other. There's nothing wrong with sharing experiences such as a divorce, such as being falsely accused of rape. We need to learn from each other. And remember, men, we're the ones who are logical, but what I see here on YouTube are a number of men who aren't logical. They're emotional just like women. And today's men have been brought up to think like women. They have a lot of estrogen and no testosterone, which equals no killer instinct. You have too many men out here who have been living at home to their 30 and 40. In other words, they have what I call the failure to launch syndrome. A number of men don't want to grow up. Their mamas call them. This is why they worship their mothers. This is why they worship women. And see, when you do that, you will never understand what it is to be a man. Therefore, you won't think like a man. So, my suggestion to all you men out here, and that includes myself, you have to continue to grow. You only have one life. And at the end of the day, the only person that is above you is God. You as the man, you're the king. But you can't be the king unless you're responsible. And there are a number of men, because we think about sex too much and we gossip too much, we don't understand responsibility, accountability. Now, you can expect women not to understand accountability and responsibility, but men, that should be part of our character every day. we should have a regimen. And the regimen includes getting enough sleep, getting our health together, educating ourselves. And when we come on YouTube and have conversation, we should be able to differ without being attacked personally. We should be mature enough to understand that part of being a man is we are going to have our own thoughts. Groupthink is terrible. That means we all become monolithic. Every red pill man and MGTOW man doesn't agree on everything. Take a position. But see, the most common thing about all of us men is we've allowed sex to take over our life. As a man, you run a tab on how many women you spent money on to get sex. And at the end of the day, you didn't get sex. You got to waste the time. You think about that. That money that we all spent on dates, we could have invested it into a good college education, nice car, a house. But there are a number of guys who aren't willing to learn that. And when it comes to alpha and beta males, I don't use that term. And the reason why I don't use that term, because it's basically about women. All the alphas get all the women, all the betas don't. That's not true. The alphas are getting all the women that they want. The betas are getting all the women that they don't want. But at the end of the day, you're getting women. But what's common with the alphas and betas, particularly in the Hispanic and black community, is that many of the women are undesirable women. And again, if you look in the Hispanic and black neighborhoods, you have nothing but poverty. Along with poverty, neighborhoods are blighted. You have a lot of violence. Again, the welfare state, single motherhood. But a number of you guys seem to not understand that when you're irresponsible with sex, you cause your neighborhood to be dysfunctional, or let's say dysfunctional. Now, there are a number of women and men who like to live in dysfunction, because if you didn't, you'd do something to change where you are and who you are. So as a red pill man, I just want to address to a number of men, we got to grow a pair. Sexual urges shouldn't be number one on your list. You should be number one on your list. And in order to fulfill your own goals and dreams, you need to set a regimen for yourself and stick to it. Too many men out here don't have social skills. They don't commit to anything. We're so busy worried about the next man. And I can tell you, in the black community, we've had some good leaders. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King couldn't get along with each other because of ego. We don't need to take the attitude that we're on top of the world and we won't help anybody else up. As men, we got to learn how to think critically, not emotionally. And we got to stop taking everything personally. You see, of course, there are a number of people out here who say they're red pill and MGTOW. They're not. They're just angry men who can't get women. You can get women, but you got to put your mind on what you want out of life. Don't worry about women. You have too many women out here who are undesirable. A number of these women, I don't care if you are an alpha, a beta, and I don't mean to use those terms, but I'm going to use those terms. Women have to like you. And also, stop listening to all these dating coaches out here. They're going to give you their perspective. You got to learn life skills yourself. I've never listened to a PUA, which is a pickup artist. I don't need a dating coach. I don't even need a life coach. The best life coach and dating coach is you. But you have to do the work to learn the principles. And life is hard. But you can get through life. But you have to understand what life has to offer. And you have to be part of the system. In other words, we all live in a world. We live in a democratic republic. So we're not completely free. We have laws we have to adhere to. Now, I know there are a number of men, old and young, who love sex. I love making love just like the next man does. But it can't be the focus. I do not like gossip, and I don't like to hear men gossip. You know, I can tell you on the black sector of YouTube, their entire, a lot of the brothers up here, I respect them, hangouts are way too long. You don't need 8-hour hangouts. I have a blog talk radio show. I say what I'm going to say in about an hour. That's it. Go about my business. And our job as older men, we should be teaching the younger men. Now, I'm not saying younger men should not go out here and enjoy their lives, but don't circumvent your whole life around women and then get angry when you can't get women. Because it seems like the so-called beta males are always upset with the alpha males, but I don't see it the other way around. That's called envy and jealousy. As a true man, you don't worry about what the next man is doing. Worry about what you're doing. And you should be blessed that you can live another day. Because there are good men who are dying every day. But I just wanted to send all you brothers, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic, and black, some suggestions. Because there are good men out here. And a point I want to make too. Don't be afraid of being a man. And don't be ashamed of being a man. See, too many men have been socially engineered because of feminist Marxism not to be a man. No, be a man. Because this society needs men. If we don't have men, societies die because we're the ones who do all the heavy lifting. Women don't do all the heavy lifting. In fact, the number of women don't know who they are. That's why they hide behind their degrees, their jobs, their job titles. But you as a man need to know who you are. Because at the end of the day, you are an individual. And the only person that you need to think about is you. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Leon Jones. I'm out.